Hey there. Hello. I'm so excited to be here today to talk to you about a huge misconception in academic publishing. And that is that more equals more. Okay, yeah, that's a big, big misconception. So I'm going to break it down for you so that as a professor, you can get your voice out there and your publications out in the world. I'm Kathy Mazak. Thank you so much for joining me today on this live stream on YouTube or the podcast, depending on where you are consuming this content. So, most academics believe that to publish more things, they have to publish everything. Okay, so maybe you have this belief yourself where you're like, well, this part of my dissertation could be a paper, and this thing that I did over here could be a paper. And you have a list of possible papers that is huge. So you think, well, I want to publish more. So that means I need to, have 10, 15 article ideas, and all of them are going to go into my pipeline, right? I'm going to work on all of them because if I want to publish more things, I need to work on more things. But here's the where that backfires. You end up with so many potential publications, or let's call them writing projects, right? Because they're not submitted yet. So you have so many writing projects that they dilute your time and actually cause you to make bad decisions about your writing and publishing. And there's a couple of ways that having too many projects in play or too many potential projects can backfire for you. So one is just that it dilutes your attention, right? It's like your brain can't focus on what's the most important because you have so many possibilities of things you could work on, okay? So that's one way. The other way is that undone projects take up brain space and energy. So basically, let's say you have 10 possible articles that you're thinking about, and really you can do the work to figure out, okay, these are my top 3 most important ones. The other 7 are still hanging out there in the back of your head saying hey, what about me? Don't you want to spend some thought on me? And that stops you from working on those top 3, or it takes away some of the energy of working on those top 3, okay? Another way that having too many projects in play or too many potential publications, the way that can backfire for you is that if you actually were to publish all of those things, your message to the world about your work would probably be quite diluted. It might appear like one of the things that many scholars find when they go up for their first promotion is that they need to present their work as a cohesive research program. And what happens when we take this just publish anything and everything mentality is that we really lose cohesion, and it's a lot more work for us to present ourselves as if we have a cohesive research program when we've just been throw spaghetti at the wall and publish anything and everything. So it can dilute your message. It can make you seem like you're not really sure what you want to do. It can actually have the opposite effect of what you want publications to have, which is a building your academic brand, building your messaging out in the world. So publishing off-mission articles, things that aren't in line with your academic mission, are actually going to stop your on-mission articles from coming out and from building your thought work in the world. All right, they get in the way because we have limited time, energy, resources, right? One other thing I want to say before I leave, and I have a whole podcast episode on this about sunk costs. Okay, I think the title of the podcast episode, the podcast is called Academic Writing Amplified. The podcast episode, I think, is called The Economics of Writing or something like that. And I talk all about this idea of sunk costs. I don't know, maybe this is true across fields or in all different professions, but wow, do I have trouble getting academics to understand that they need to let go of sunk costs in their writing and publishing. And sunk costs are, things you can't get back, right? So sunk costs are money you've already spent that you can't go and like return a dress that you bought and get the money back, right? Like you can't, it's money that you've spent on something that you can't get back, or time that you've spent on something that you can't get back. And what happens is that because we have this sunk costs mentality where we want to recuperate or hold on to sunk costs, when we have a publication that we've spent time on, and it really could be like any amount of time. It could be that you've collected data for it. It could be that you've analyzed data for it. It could be that you've started drafting it. It could be that you're in partnership or co-authorship with someone on a project. Any of those situations where you've spent time and energy on a potentially publishable article, it's really hard to understand that those are sunk costs. And the more that you continue to put time and energy into projects that really have no business being in your pipeline because they're off mission for you, or you have other really much more important, much more impactful articles or pieces of writing or a book or chapters, you have much more impactful writing to do. The more that you continue to like throw good writing after bad or throw good time after bad, the worse your pipeline is going to be. It's going to become completely gunked up because you're going to be like, oh, but I spent so much time on that article. I want to see it come out. But the problem is, just like sunk costs in economics, right? Like you don't want to keep throwing money in the economics term, right? Like in that scenario, you want to keep throwing money towards a project that even if you recuperated or you finished the project, you're not going to get your money's worth. And that's what happens to so many of us because we're so afraid to let go of writing and publishing projects that are not serving us, that we've gassed out on and we're like, I just don't have energy or I do not want to publish this thing anymore. We just think like, I need to recuperate sunk costs. But the thing is that you probably won't. And meanwhile, you're continuing to put time and energy into projects that are off mission, in projects that are, hard to deal with, in projects that, let's face it, like the data and the analysis isn't as strong as maybe some of your others. The more that you keep leaving those things in your pipeline, leaving them on your to-do list, thinking you need to put them out, the more your publications that should come out will suffer. So, more does not equal more when it comes to academic publishing. If you have so many things in your pipeline that you're paralyzed, or if you have so many things in your pipeline that your work that you really want to put out in the world is gunked up with work that you feel like you could put out in the world, that is going to backfire in terms of the larger arc of your career. So what do you need to do to fix this problem? The answer is that you need to curate. So instead of more is more, less is more. Fewer publications in your pipeline is actually going to lead to more publications actually getting out, actually getting submitted and published. So what I mean is you can and should curate your pipeline. You should be selective. You shouldn't just let anything that you could possibly publish into your pipeline. Only things that are on mission for you, that are building your voice in the world, that are establishing your academic brand or your thought work. All of that is what should stay in your pipeline, and all of the other, well, I could maybe get a publication out of this thing, should go. That attitude that like, well, I need to, publish anything and everything comes from the very understandable fear that you will not publish enough things. And that messaging, right, we get from the culture of academia, we get it all the time. We get it because Our universities won't tell us the actual number of publications that we need to get out to get promoted. Grants won't tell us the actual number of publications we need to have in order to get the grant. We're always guessing. And so we have this attitude that it's based on fear that you're not going to get the grant, fear that you're not going to get promoted. Based on fear, we think more is more. I'm just going to do as much as I can. And what we find is that academics have these pipelines that have too many projects in them. They're constantly having to make the decision of what projects to work on. And it is costly. It's costly in your energy, it's costly in your time, and it's costly for your CV. You're just not going to get as many publications out if you don't curate what goes into your publication pipeline. So what's the process of curation? How do you do it? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to have clarity of mission and purpose. So you need to take time to think about who do I want to be in the scholarly world? What is my line of research? What is the image and what is the thought work that I'm putting out there and creating? In our programs, we do this by helping you write an academic mission statement. It just gives you an organized way. And we hold space inside of our programs for you to really think about that. Think about how to clarify your mission and your purpose. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you need to learn how to look at your publication pipeline as if it's a high-level project plan or map. So what this means is that your publication pipeline, which is basically in our programs, we teach you what is a publication pipeline and how to create yours. It's going to be different for different fields, but basically it's like a big, giant project plan where, all of your publications have to go through different stages. At least they have to go through, data gathering, analysis, drafting, submission, revision, at least, right? But for some people, if you're a science writer, you probably want to make the figures in there, depending on your own style. You might want to have outline as one of kind of the stops along your publication pipeline. You have to figure it out for you. We teach you how to do it, how to figure it out for you inside of our Navigate program. But basically that pipeline becomes this big project map or big project plan that guides your choices over the semesters, right? And keeps the projects in play in the front of your mind and in a manageable way where you can see I've got different projects in different stages. I'm going to work here, I'm going to work here, and you can pace yourself to keep those publications, flowing out into submission and publication in the world. And then the last thing, in order to get that flow, right, you need good writing project management skills. That means you need to understand how long it takes you to do things. You need to understand how to break writing projects into tasks. You need to have a writing system that works for you. So that is, based on your strengths. And we teach you, again, that is something that we teach inside of our Navigate program. So more is not more when it comes to academic publishing. Less is more. And what we mean by that is that fewer projects in play of a higher quality, curated projects will mean more publications for you. So you don't have to be afraid to cut things from your publication pipeline. You don't have to be afraid. Think of it as pruning. Right? If you prune a plant or a bush so that it flowers more, or so that it grows in a certain way, that's what you're doing when you eliminate projects that are off mission, projects that are taking too much energy, projects that maybe just literally aren't your best work. Let's be honest. When you move those out of your pipeline and curate for the projects that are on mission, that are your very best work, that are going to lead to your next big opportunity, that's where you're going to see so much success in actually getting publications out. And that's what I want for all of you. I'll leave you today saying that our Navigate program is accepting applications. Hi, Livia. I'm so nice that you're here. Yes, cut that paper. Just let it go. You're going to have so much more brain space and ability and time to work on the papers that really count if you let go, let go of those sunk costs. Any economist will tell you you cannot recuperate sunk costs, so stop trying. Our Navigate program is open for enrollment right now, and we are accepting applications. Right now, if you're listening to this or watching this in real time, we have a cohort of Navigate starting on February 20th. So our admissions deadline is February 17th. We are constantly, every day, accepting or reviewing applications. So send yours in. We have a lot. We have a lot of applications, and we would love to also consider yours. So after this video is over, or if you're listening on the podcast, you will find in the show notes or in the description of this video the link to the application and also a link to a Google Doc with just like all the information about the program. We are running Navigate as a 12-week program. We're very excited about a new format that we're trying out. And it seems like y'all are excited too because we have a lot of applications. So, oh, yay. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah says, love my Navigate program, peeps. So yeah, just very excited to have more people find out about and participate in this career-altering program. So check it out, apply. We would love to get to know you and help you to create that flow of publications out of the pipeline, right? We want to see them out in the world and making a difference for you and your career and for the world, right? We want your voice out there. So have a wonderful day and thanks so much for tuning in. Bye.